So hey guys, and welcome to probably the most requested video of all time. I've gotten so many messages asking me what weapons I would recommend for newer players, so I gathered a couple of primary weapons that I personally would recommend for newer players. And with the exception of one weapon which I will talk about at the end, you can get all of them from the market, their build requirements are not very high, and they don't go above Mastery rank 5. So let's take a look at the first primary weapon I would recommend to newer players. People tend to forget about the Gratata, but it's a very easy to get weapon. It has a mastery rank requirement of 0, the blueprint only costs 15,000 credits, and to build it you're gonna need 25,000 credits, 2 new roads, 400 alloy plates, 900 salvage and 100 polymer bundles. The Gratata isn't very accurate and it kicks like a mule, but when modded for critical strike chance it can dish out some serious damage. It can also be modded towards status, but I would not recommend that for newer players because status is more of an endgame kind of thing. And this is because the mods for status builds are kind of hard to get, so mod this for critical strike chance and it's gonna serve you well for a very long time. And for the more observant amongst you, you may have noticed that I'm using Prisma Gratata and not the regular Gratata. That's simply because when I get an upgrade over a weapon, I will delete the old weapon. So I don't have Gratata anymore and I have Prisma Gratata. But the weapons are essentially the same, the Prisma version just does a little bit more damage. So the damage numbers you see on the screen may not be representative of what you're gonna get with the original weapon. So let's take a look at the second rifle that I would recommend for newer players. The good old Boltor. Once again, a weapon that people tend to forget about, but it's an amazing weapon. It has a mastery rank requirement of 2, the blueprint is gonna cost you 15,000 credits, which is not a lot, and the build requirements aren't that bad either. You will need 25,000 credits, 2 new roads, 100 alloy plates, 900 salvage, and 600 polymer bundles. Boltor doesn't have a lot of status chance or critical strike chance, but what it does have is damage. Puncture damage to be more specific, which is great against armored targets, so the Grenier and the Corrupted. It also has travel time on its bolt, so you will have to lead the target accordingly. And for some people this may be a downside, for me personally it makes the weapon more fun. The bolts also have the ability to impale targets, sending them flying and either pinning them to walls, which is very entertaining to watch, or as the body travels with the bolt inside it and it hits another enemy, it will damage them, which helps you mow down groups of enemies. So overall, the Boltor is an excellent choice for newer players. Now let's take a look at some shotguns. Because while you can run around with Strun and do some decent damage with it, you can also run around with the Heck, which is, one heck of a shotgun. No? I'll escort myself out. This baby has a mastery rank requirement of 4 and it is an absolute beast. And for the power this weapon provides, it's pretty easy to get. So the blueprint will cost you 25,000 credits, and to build it you will have to put in additional 25,000 credits, 5 new roads, 900 circuits, 1200 salvage, and 1000 rabadoo. The Heck is basically an endgame weapon. It does obscene amounts of puncture damage, and with the right mods, you can run sorties with it and kill level 100 enemies with ease. The downsides are the damage fall-off, which all the shotguns have, so if you fire at targets that are far away from you, the damage isn't going to be that great, and also the combination of small magazine, which only has 4 rounds in it, and the decently low reload time isn't that great. But the pellet spread is very tight, which makes it easy for all the pellets to hit one target and do ludicrous amounts of damage. This is one of the weapons that you get very early on, and it's one of the best weapons in the game. But it's not the only shotgun that you can get very early on and packs a bit of punch, because we also have the Tigress. Tigress, just like the Heck, has a mastery rank requirement of 4. The blueprint is slightly more expensive because it costs 40,000 credits, but trust me when I say it's worth it. To build it, you will have to put in additional 25,000 credits, 3 broken cells, 900 circuits, and 1200 salvage and rabadoo. Tigress only has 2 rounds in the magazine, and the firing mechanic is different to the other shotguns. You fire the first round by pressing the mouse button, and you fire the second round by releasing the mouse button. The Tigress will deliver 1050 damage per shot without any mods, so as you add mods, this damage is gonna become even more ridiculous. Most of its damage comes in the form of slash, so it's great against fleshier units like the Infested, and normally a slash-based weapon isn't too good against armored targets like the Grenier and the Corrupted, or shielded targets like the Corpus, but since the weapon does so much damage with each shot, it doesn't really matter. Its downside is very subjective, because every time you fire the weapon, you will have to reload it, so if you don't like reloading, this may not be the weapon for you. And also, because it's a shotgun, it has damage fall-off just like the Heck. So the Tigress, another endgame weapon that you can get very early on. And now let's take a look at some sniper rifles. First up, we have the Vectis, which is a mastery rank requirement of 3. The blueprint is once again a little bit more expensive, and you will have to put in 40,000 credits, and to build it you will have to sink in 25,000 more credits, 4 neurodes, 4 Rokin cells, 3,000 nanospores, and 2,500 rubber-dew. Vectis is a single-shot sniper rifle, so you will have to reload after every shot. So if you're not a fan of reloading, this may not be the weapon for you. It does 225 damage per shot, which is pretty good, especially if you can hit headshots, and the distribution of the different physical damage types is very equal, making it very effective against all the factions. The Vectis is at its best when modded for critical strike chance, and since it is a sniper rifle, it is horrendously inaccurate if you're not scoped in. But if you are scoped in and your aim is good and you land shot after shot after shot, you'll be treated to a very nice damage multiplier as you land shot after shot after shot without missing. But as I've said already, if you're not a fan of reloading, this is probably not the sniper rifle for you, and maybe you'll be happier with the Bullcar. Bullcar is a great sniper rifle. It has a mastery rank requirement of 0, so you can get it as soon as you start the game. The blueprint will cost you 20,000 credits, and to build it you will have to put in additional 20,000 credits, 5 morphics, 800 circuits, 1200 salvage, and 800 plastids. Now, I just realized that I told you that if you're not a fan of reloading, you should get the Bullcar, but then I realized that the biggest downside of the Bullcar is its horrendous reload time. It comes with 6 rounds in the magazine, so you don't have to reload after every shot. However, once you run out of these rounds, you will have to wait 3 seconds for the weapon to reload. But that is the only downside of this weapon, other than the questionable scope colors, which may be annoying and sometimes confusing on certain tile sets. The Bullcar does mostly impact damage, so it's most effective against shielded targets like the Corpus, but it does enough damage to be effective against the other factions as well. And even if the first shot doesn't straight up heal the enemy, it's not that big of a deal, because the Bullcar has a tendency to stagger enemies it doesn't kill, making it very easy for you to shoot them again. And just like the Vectis, it's most effective when modded for critical strike chance, and if you're not scoped in, it's horrendously inaccurate. But once again, if you are scoped in and you can land shot after shot after shot, you'll be treated to a very nice damage multiplier. Now let's take a look at the one and only explosive weapon that I would recommend for newer players. The Tonko, or yes, the grenade launcher. This one has a mastery rank requirement of 5, and it does 325 blast damage in a very big area. The blueprint itself is going to cost you 30,000 credits, and to build it you will have to sink in 60,000 credits, 1500 salvage, 200 oxium, 800 cryotic, and 2 argon crystals. This is the most expensive weapon on this list, and it will take you a while to get up to the mastery rank and to get all the resources you need. But it is not unachievable, it is not that bad. You get credits by simply playing the game. Salvage is a resource you can farm in the thousands. Oxium and cryotic can be farmed in Corpus excavations, and it's not going to take you that long to get 800 cryotic and 200 oxium. And if you have access to the void, getting argon crystals is not that big of a deal either. And if you stick with it, you farm the resources and you build the Tonko, you'll be treated to probably the best explosive weapon in the game. It is extremely powerful with a crit build, and it will last you for a very long time. Ever since the Tonko came out, I haven't even touched any of the other explosive weapons. It is simply that good. It's effective against all the factions, it does a ton of damage, and you can rocket jump with it. It's amazing. Now, I want to talk about one more weapon, a weapon that made it on this list, not because it's extremely easy to get, but because it's a great goal for newer players. And that is the Dredd. And if you've been playing the game for a while, you may be like, yeah, Dredd for newer players. Good one, yes, excellent, yes. But the Dredd is a great goal for newer players. It is, in my opinion, the best bow in the game, and you get it by finding a boss node, grinding the boss until you receive a message that says that your actions have consequences, which means you're marked for death by the Stalker, which is the enemy you have to kill in order to get the blueprint for Dredd. Then you have to wait for Stalker to show up when you're playing normal missions, and I do say normal missions because he doesn't show up on boss nodes. Kill him, get the blueprint, and tada, you have probably the best bow in the game. Sounds simple, but it's really not, because the first couple of times you encounter Stalker, he will probably kill you because he does a lot of burst damage and he will dispel all your buffs, and Dredd is only one of the items that he drops, so it's up to RNG whether you get a Dredd blueprint or something else. And if you manage to kill him, you will lose the death mark, so you have to get marked on the boss again. So it's RNG hidden behind a pretty decent grind. But as I've said already, I think this is a great goal for newer players, because while you're trying to farm the Dredd, you are farming bosses, which drop rare and uncommon resources, which is a very good thing if you're starting out in the game. And on top of that, they will either drop a blueprint for a weapon or for a Warframe, which will ultimately help you progress in the game. So if you'd like to have a really good bow, just find the boss node, farm the boss until you receive the message that says your actions have consequences, and once that happens, you can just keep playing the game and do whatever, and Stalker will just randomly show up. And if you do manage to get the blueprint, you're pretty much there, because it only takes 15,000 credits, 6 morphics, 900 circuits, 750 polymer bundles, and 900 plastids to build it. And since the Dredd has a mastery rank requirement of 0, it doesn't matter what mastery rank you are, you can just go for it. So these are all the weapons that I personally would recommend for newer players. So I thank you very much for watching as always, I hope the video was helpful, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.